Hello, everyone. Hi, Nessie. How are you? I'm doing Twitter things. Hang on. There we go. Okay. It's a giant thing of my face. I don't want to use the regular screen because this is a talking thing, not a show things on the screen thing. But I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for coming by. Um, so Cam's out for a few weeks. Well, I think 2 more weeks. We didn't have session last week. This week I'm doing this. Next week I think I'm also doing this. I don't know. Depends on Hi Jet. Depends on what Jet gets up for me. Um, but yeah, I figured since we're coming to our penultimate chapter in the campaign according to Jet and TeamSpeak. Oh yeah, hang on. I figured since we're coming up toward the penultimate chapter, I would start posting the second part in on YouTube once we actually start all that. And I figured this way, if I make these like a series of videos, one a week on each chapter. Give me a second.
Connected. Channel switched.
Hello, user.
Hello. So yeah, I figured I'd make this series of videos for you guys. Also, hello everyone.
Do forgive me. I'm on antibiotics from an injury I had earlier this week.
Oof.
I'm dead inside and outside.
Dead inside. I had to. Please do not sound like you're projectile vomiting.
I'm going to try not to actually projectile vomit either. It's been a long week.
Oh, it has for me too.
Well, sounds like you've had fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it on detail, especially on stream. It's gross. No one wants to know. If you desperately need to know, you can talk to me in Discord, but this is a threat and a warning.
Fair enough.
Are we going to be live?
I am.
We are live.
Oh.
Yeah. So Jet gave me his.
Joined your channel.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hello.
So I guess, despite the fact that, oh God.
What?
Nurak, that model gets really big, by the way.
Nice.
Unusably big. Sorry, totally unrelated.
Like I'm not in table tonight. I'm just doing the recap and everything like that.
I'm working on building things.
I can hear that.
Be afraid.
I can hear that. I also hear springs.
That is my mic stand. I'm trying to get it set up in a new orientation.
Okay.
So it sounds like, despite the fact that we aren't having session tonight, most of my players are here.
Yep.
To chill anyways.
Yep.
That sounds right, yeah.
I appreciate you guys. I know I don't make that abundantly clear with the gameplay.
I mean, you try to kill us on a weekly basis.
To be fair, that's kind of what we pay him for.
That is what we pay him?
You pay me?
Yes, in frustration.
In frustration. Oh
I
god.
mean, he's not wrong.
He's not
You
wrong.
are not wrong. Also, this is actually too much, right?
Absolutely.
Hello, Crystal.
So much smaller.
How about I hydrate myself with ginger tea? Sounds great.
That's fine.
I have like
That sounds good.
gingerbread tea. It's actually good. But so yeah, Jet gave me his write-ups that he made.
Chapter 0 is literally just introduction
I know,
to the
I've read it.
campaign for you guys to read through yet again.
Yeah.
But I figured it's not a terrible place to start because it is full of information.
Yeah, it's full of like why things work the way they work kind of thing.
Where is this?
So
I have given it to Vlas. He's going to read through it on stream.
yep. And eventually this will make it to YouTube. That's kind of like a pre-chapter kind of thing for when I start posting. When we eventually get past where we are and start posting the campaign to YouTube. Eventually.
Eventually. Oh man, you have like a full snowball cover. I have a pop filter that just hangs over it.
Yeah, I have the filter too. It's like sitting back there, but I can never get it oriented right. This came with the stand. Like the stand I have. This boom arm mic stand.
Yeah, I think we might have the exact same boom arm, and I might have that filter. I just didn't want to stretch it enough to go over the whole snowball because I thought it would rip.
Yeah, it actually works pretty well too, surprisingly, for just a foam filter.
It certainly works better than the 16-foot scarf I was using.
Oof.
True story.
A true story. I have pictures somewhere of that.
I have pictures. Oh
I
jeez.
once saw it on your cast once. Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of fuck it, I need a pop filter.
Fair enough. But might as well get started at the beginning, shall we?
Yeah. Before that, I need to ask one question. Just ask me anything.
Okay.
Greek or Viking?
Do I get context or do I just have to pick one?
Nope. Pick one.
Viking.
Sensible choice. All right. My question is answered.
This campaign definitely pulls more from Greek. I'm more familiar with Greek, and Greek is easier to parse, whereas Viking has a lot of contradicting stories.
Oh yeah, it totally does.
I love Viking mythology.
I'm not saying that Viking's bad. I like Viking. It's good
You are
stuff.
correct though. That I have more experience with Greek, but like
I think everyone has more experience with the Greek and Roman than anything else.
Well, Percy Jackson did a lot
nothing
to help
about Roman. It's
Fair.
Greek with new names.
Yeah, exactly. That's all Roman mythology is. It's like, hey, I like this. I'ma steal it and change a little bit.
So to go fully off topic and into Roman here, there's two important factors you need to know about the Romans. One, every god is at some point a war god. And two, the widely accepted, oh, that's the Roman pantheon, doesn't work in the same way. Because the Romans literally would find similar aspects of a god and then say, oh, that's our god, this guy. But they also had this thing where they would accept any foreign god as existing. They had statues set up to the god yet unfound in their pantheon worship places. It was a really cool thing. They were inclusive to the people they conquered.
Yeah, it's pretty much believe whatever you want as long as you pay tribute.
Yep.
Yeah,
as long as you
exactly.
pay taxes, I don't really give a shit which statue you're bound to. So if you look at the direct correlation between the Greek and the Romans, It is effectively just, oh, we renamed the god and then also made them war-oriented somehow.
Mm-hmm.
However, in a cool twist, they did actually have, like, the Romans didn't actually care about Jewish people. They had specific laws to allow Jewish people in certain roles that they excelled at. But because of that, it enabled the racism that eventually led to the foundation of Christianity with the mythology of Jesus. The whole
Yeah.
render unto Caesar was a strange intermingling between Jewish tradition and Jewish tradition, the teachings that taxes weren't supposed to be paid to Caesar, and then also Jesus biblically claiming that, look, it's got Caesar's face on it, just pay taxes and be fine with it.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting interplay.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, Roman
and that
mythology is
stopped
actually
working.
pretty neat.
Nice.
I tend to follow Greek, Roman, and Norse mythology myself.
Yeah, again, Roman mythology is this weird middle ground where there's not actually a lot of quote unquote Roman mythology. It's largely just other religions renamed. And Greek mythology has some really cool history. If you ever watch Overly Sarcastic Productions, you'll learn that Dionysus is actually a younger god, but also an insanely old god. Pan may or may not actually be Hermes, and a bunch of other cool interplay. And I wish we knew more about the Mycenaean Greeks, because they sound like crazy people.
Yeah, I used to be real versed in this stuff, and then, yeah.
Yeah, but definitely check out Overly Sarcastic Productions. They do miscellaneous myths, and it's just, hey, we have, I did the research this thing because it's the host's college major. They're just like,
Yeah.
and then I animated it and made it easy to understand. So there's a lot of really cool interplay, and they do everything from Greek to Roman to Norse to Japanese, Chinese.
Do they have Mesoamerican?
They have a couple, and that's actually where I learned the correct pronunciation for Quetzalcoatl.
Okay. Because I tried to teach myself some Mesoamerican folklore and mythology, and I'm not saying that it's fucked up,
Oh, it's very fucked up. It's fun though.
but it is not documented in any meaningful way that gives you a full picture of the things that are happening.
They actually go over it in a largely unrelated video, and it's kind of hilarious. The reason it's so undocumented is because there is so much conquering and reconquering going on.
It's almost so underdocumented because it's over documented in different ways.
Yeah.
There's literally like 30 different gods that all do the same thing at the same time period, depending on whether or not you are in these 5-mile square sections of the area.
Yep.
Like,
But I highly recommend them. I love the Mesoamerican origin stories. They're a lot of fun.
Welcome to History Hour with Chris.
Yeah, I will talk your ear off about this if you let me.
Depends on the topic for me. I really like history too.
Same.
well, Vlas, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, sure.
I know, Chris, this will be like the 9th time you've heard this.
Something like that.
But I feel like it is important to hear this time because it is finally becoming relevant. All of the little tiny details in introduction to this campaign really pertain to these last two chapters. I don't know if you want to dip out again, because I definitely don't blame you.
Yeah, it's just meteors fall, everybody dies.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get this kicked off then, I guess, Flass.
All right. So, introduction to the campaign that was read to us with varying degrees of readability because Jet's mic kept cutting out at weird times. All right. Magic, a fundamental aspect of this world we live in. While few can freely wield magic, many have studied the arcane for as long as time itself. Magic is an organic thing here. You can smell it on the cool summer breeze, taste it in the sweet wines of western Warsh, or even feel it in the soft grass of the Tarshani foothills. Always changing, always growing, ever adapting. But despite its omnipresence, its constructs elude even our most learned scholars. It isn't that magic is complex, it's quite the opposite, really. Magic is so impossibly precisely simple that the waking mind can barely comprehend the subtle essence of a thought before tearing the concept to ribbons. This is the unspoken law of magic. To think about the use of magic is to be unable to use magic. Not so much the inability to harness it, but rather the catastrophic results to one's own health in doing so. It is in this regard that in 5,000 cycles of recorded studies, we have barely scratched the surface of the topic. That is, until just about 30 cycles ago. Magic is much like color. You have your primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and you have your aspect elements, fire, earth, water, air, and light. By continuing the analogy, the more complex the mixture of elements, the more fantastic and terrible the colorings of nature. Magic is much like art. A subtle dab here, a bold stroke there, can be a difference of a child's scribbles and a masterpiece that inspires awe. Magic is very much like music. It may lead, it may follow, it may repeat, and there is always, always a finale. A crescendo may quicken hearts and cause joy, but the subtle quiet of that of a single Tarshani horn can tame seas, lift mountains, bring men to weep, and even call a lover to one's waiting arms from 1,000 miles away. But the more complicated the essences of magic's being called, the more the waking mind loses grasp on what is and is not. Many scholars dance upon an Elari's blade's edge between genius and insanity, though falling always leads to oblivion. Or catastrophe, as this particular case came to be. It is in this light that the war must be discussed. Over the last 800 cycles, many breakthroughs in magic as a science came to be, and while many did not make it into public's view, myriad others did. One such discovery the public saw was the compatibility of magic and technology. It has been 1,000 cycles since some unnamed scholar decided to infuse metals with magic to ward off danger. This is different, much different. In the old methodology, a common creation was the automatic stove, a construct of massive proportions that took about a half hour to generate enough heat to warm a room and sustain itself. In the new techmaturgy, the same construct could fit in your palm, generate up to 3 times the heat, maintain that heat indefinitely, and be switched off and cooled to the touch, all within the span of a minute. This was several orders of magnitude more advanced than simple infusion. As you can imagine, its first application was peaceful. Its second, slightly less so. Its 10th? How long does it take for a good purpose to be corrupted and turn against itself? History shows time and time again how short that timetable really is. Techmaturgy not only unlocked many secrets of magic within its first cycle, but it led to a boom in scientific discovery as well. Coal power became obsolete as self-generating galvanic currents reinvented everything we knew. Even families who couldn't afford professionally artificed generators could afford the new handmade models, though they were larger and less reliant. The discovery was temporary saving grace for a continent on the verge of destroying itself. The Warsh nobility's petty land squabbling began to move into the country's southern neighbor. Most of the nobility gave up their infighting almost immediately in favor of having the best and the newest in everything they could. It was just a different kind of fight looking back, as the tenuous peace did not last but 3 cycles. The nobility began requisitioning military weaponry. At first, they were simply hunting implements, because taking down a squirrel with something capable of throwing liquid akin to magma is considered sport. Damn wasteful fools. But the old feuds reignited and killed. I always forget how to say this.
Sorry, I went through a phase where I wanted all of my words to kind of be Patrick Rothfuss-esque.
Keldan. Okay, I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Keldan. Flat-footed. 300 cycles ago, we fought with bows and blades. Granted, they were all magical and capable of inflicting great wounds. Great wounds.
Wounds, two wounds.
All I have to say is,
Exactly. That is a command. Alright, let me start that sentence over.
I'm glad that I infect everyone.
Yes, you do. 300 cycles ago, we fought with bows and blades. Granted, they were all magical and capable of inflicting great wounds and tearing the earth asunder, but bows and blades nonetheless. 100 cycles ago, war was fought with bolt throwers and cannons. Almost every wound in those days was considered fatal. Now, an uprising in the southern Keldan Empire was being fought to preserve their lands, as the emperor gave them away like a Darshani priest handing out bread to the homeless on Holy Day, in an effort to keep the peace. The nobility of Warsh to the north seized the opportunity and sent in their personal guard and mercenaries, equipped with the latest tools of destruction. Keldan's forces were decimated. A little less than 1/10 of the population of Keldan was killed within the month. 2 weeks later, the Emperor of Keldan was assassinated, by who is still a mystery. This effectively ended Warsh's war for land as they assimilated the country, but the fighting continued. Before the civil war could escalate, a new threat entered the scene. A new challenger has appeared. God King Eliseth of Aishin sent a messenger to every city, every town with a local government, every village with an inn, everywhere. And the message read, surrender, or be annihilated. Aishin, a country that had kept to itself, a people who hadn't seen the outside of their own borders for over 60 cycles, was declaring war on every being in civilization. Within 3 cycles, Eliseth and his techmaturgus had claimed the continent for his own, enslaving those he captured, torturing those who resisted, and experimenting on everyone he deemed worthy of his ascension. A genetic experiment to unlock the full potential of the mind and thereby unlock ultimate magical competence. That was 16 cycles ago, though. Ancient history, by all accounts. And this is a tale not of war and strife, but of heroes and demons, of a resistance waiting for its savior, and of a group of heroes who would see themselves become legends. Magic is a subtle thing. It can inspire fear and heroism, tame beasts, cause war, and hunger. Its applications are limitless to those capable, and altogether terrifying in the hands of those willing. It manifests in small ways everywhere. Sometimes it is as simple as a flash of light. Sometimes it's a little more complex. Like the asshole walking out of the tavern claiming to have killed a dragon. Now that's a rare form of manifestation indeed. Everyone knows dragons aren't real. Drakes and Dragonborn, the lost children of the dragon's blood who founded Aishin in the east, sure. But not dragons themselves. Their race was dead before ours took its first steps on 2 legs. They only exist in Fae stories. And this is anything but a Fae story. End of introduction.
Well done.
I'm curious, is the asshole stepping out claiming to have slain the dragon me?
No.
I
Yes.
was actually thinking, are they talking about me?
No. It's
Nate the
just
Great,
some
thank you for the
random
follow. Welcome to the
unnamed
stream.
asshole. It
Well,
It
I heard
makes
the word
for-
asshole, and I immediately thought you meant me.
it makes for a good image. Like I wrote. Yo, what's up,
Nate, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you.
So Nate is a buddy of mine, and I'm currently. How about you spoil it, Nate? He's in my Ascension rerun.
Oh, yeah?
And he's a good
Ooh,
dude. And
nice.
actually, he's the guy who ended up with the drunk floppy drive in his.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, nice.
So
Also,
this
he
is
got
the
gadgets
guy
drive,
who
huh?
did fuck up.
Oh, Jesus.
Nate, I will take a look at it in a little bit because I'm busy doing this right now. So, but yeah, feel free to spoil if you want to.
Jesus.
What we're working on. Don't go too ham, but yeah, that's up to you. But yeah, no. This campaign originated as the intent to be a book, and I was pretty far into the outline when I realized that I kind of hated the format. Just the medium was not working for me, and I've tried at this point a dozen or so different mediums to tell this story in, and I still don't love D&D, but I definitely feel like tabletop RPG is the right place for it. I probably would have run this more in Fate, something a little bit more roleplay based, if I knew better back then. This was my first campaign that I ran. I hadn't DM'd before now. So there's still a fair amount of residual. I liked this line, and fuck everyone else, I'm not changing it.
It's my campaign. I'll run it how I want it, damn it.
Also, yeah, Nate's,
Pretty much.
Nurak here is Nirin, your tech boy.
And Chris made up all of the fucked up encounters.
Chris made up some of the fucked up encounters.
Fair enough.
The party is responsible for the rest.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. My PC in Ascension was Adric, if he's still around.
Yes, Adric is Recon, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they can hire him to do a sweep of a floor and tell them what's up ahead.
Nice.
I miss playing as Nirin.
I honestly, this is why I reran the campaign. I missed that campaign. But in case people missed it, yeah, Nate and I are collabing on writing the soundtrack to the finale of Aerosia.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And he just sent me his first piece that he's finished writing. So I will be taking a look at that and adding my stuff to it and upping the sound quality from MIDI to not MIDI.
Still think it is pretty cool that our player characters are still a part of the campaign.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was the case. I didn't have an outstanding backup squad for you guys to talk to the first run. Because I had literally 2 goals for that entire campaign. The first goal was the only goal I had going into it, which was fuck with Flass.
Isn't that your
and-
goal no matter what?
I mean, that was the whole point we started writing it on, was to mess with
Yeah.
flies.
The second goal wasn't even created until Gadget did stuff. Which, spoilers.
I mean, Gadget does
I do have
things.
a question. Which of Wolf's characters did you actually keep? The first one or the
Faye.
second one? Kessick or Faye? Okay.
Faye is a font of random ass knowledge that no one should have any reason to know.
Okay. I
So-
just didn't know if it would be Kessick or Faye.
We're talking about the viscosity of crystalline water?
Basically.
I kind of feel like Faye would also say that it somehow tastes like purple.
Right?
I feel like she did.
Yeah, I think that actually happened once.
I'm pretty sure that happened once. Can I take these with alcohol? Because I need something to take the edge off of all of this shit. I probably shouldn't. There's a lot
Say,
of warning labels on
generally,
that.
the answer is no. So, I wouldn't risk it.
It's been a long week. But yeah,
Question
so
I have to
that,
ask. Is it gonna screw with you, or is it gonna make you loopy as hell if you drink with it?
oh,
Mhm.
I don't know. There's a lot of warnings. Could be a little bit of all of the above. I already don't feel
Screwing
great,
with you is
so-
a bad thing. Making you
Mm-mm.
loopy just makes you goofy for an evening.
Right.
But yeah, so that is the introduction to the campaign. Any questions? This is a good opportunity to get like background information, since I absolutely was not comfortable setting up background lore during chapter 1.
Why did my mouse just stop scrolling all of a sudden? That's weird.
Didn't feed it enough cheese.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I should probably like talk about a couple of the things that inspired me to write this in the first place. Greek mythology was kind of the idea behind some of the pantheons once we got involved in that storyline. Just having potentially multiple fields is very much the Greek way of doing things, because there's not, you've got fertility and feast is shit. I used to know this off the top of my head, but it's the Greek pantheon has all of these multiple field deities, and I wanted a little bit more of that rather than the hard focus that some of Norse has and some of the rest of the famous pantheons have. So that's one thing. A fair amount of the inspiration for various parts of the campaign actually came from Tales of Symphonia, though.
Why am I not surprised?
Like I wanted to do something to the effect of these camps, and like I was writing through it, and I was playing Tales of Symphonia again at the time, and I was just like, just steal this, really, because it does it right without being too far. You know,
It does it right without that gray area of like
it
what and
it
why and yeah.
it does actually get to the point of, the slavery and concentration camps of war criminals and war prisoners without stepping over that line to being just like too much.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely a fine line, and you can do it right. There are absolutely ways to do it right. I didn't even want to toe that line though. It's just it can get real upsetting to go that far. And Tales of Symphonia offered a very, very simple solution to that. I should also mention two of the moon names are based in Tales of Symphonia. Sylvanti and Tet, just short versions of Silverant and Tetheala. Because
Rip
I
Tet.
suck.
Yeah, rip Tet.
Rip Tet, indeed.
Although now we
God,
have
cry.
titanium, so
Yeah, I'm actually surprised how little of titanium we've used with any regularity.
well, we found that whole cavern of it, and then things
We didn't-
happened.
Yeah, but then like the only person who has used it is Lillian.
There isn't a whole lot that you guys can do with it. Specifically in this campaign and specifically for your characters. A, it's kind of a new thing that people aren't quite sure how to use yet. And B, there's only so much you can use yourselves. There are things happening in the background, and I think when we get around to like chapters 2 and 3, I might discuss some of the background things that are happening with titanium. But that is definitely one of those things where like you only really have access to it as a gear modifier, and even then you guys aren't making huge use of it because
Hello,
it's
what have we here?
new.
Nate, thank you for gifting a sub to Rockstar. You're awesome.
Also, Rockstar, you are not wrong.
He's not
Connor
wrong.
kept rolling nat ones and blamed the dice roller.
It was the dice roller.
It was the dice
Uh-huh.
roller.
Also, yay, Rockstar's not a freeloader anymore.
Yeah, right. Rockstar quit freeloading.
I don't know. I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to say regarding background.
I think you should do like a one-off campaign of like this prehistory, or not a whole campaign, but like a one-off session of like kind of like this prehistory stuff. If you wanted to test out that mass combat again,
Okay. Yeah,
that would
that's
be
an
kind of
option.
cool.
I actually wouldn't mind thoroughly expanding this world.
We also need to finish the one I was doing.
Yeah, I've also got a one-off, one-on-one with Crystal.
Oh, really?
She plays Vlas. You'll recognize this name. I'm glaring daggers at you through the computer screen. She's playing Aiko.
Oh, really?
Build her fucking item, Vlas.
Oh my god.
You know, I completely forgot that was a thing.
So did I with everything going on.
Yeah, but I'm allowed to forget. You're not.
Shut up. Rockstar
but,
hush.
But yeah, I'm totally willing to expand this universe. If we want to do a campaign 2, I already have written like the plot hook to get into campaign 2 from the end of this campaign. If we want to do prequel, I wouldn't mind going back in time a significant number of years, or even just like that first 2 years of this war. I'm not opposed to doing more in this universe.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how it fleshes out once you actually start going back and doing stuff with it.
And there's a lot that I would fix in a second campaign, knowing what sins to avoid now after going on 3 years of DMing. Because I'll be the first to say it. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at the start of this, and it showed
fine.
sometimes.
Yeah, you did fine.
I did well enough early on to keep you guys around until now, where I
Yeah.
feel like I do mostly know what I'm doing, and I'm making you guys want to follow the railroad that I have written, because I have good writing instead of faking my way through shitty notes.
And then burning said shitty notes when we go off the rails on them.
Yep.
I also just know how to deal with you guys being off the rails better now. I know, like, improv isn't a huge problem for me, but just, like, understanding how to put it to use was not something I understood at the time.
Yeah. This party improvs a lot.
Yeah, we do.
This is true.
You don't actually improv nearly as much as you think. Not even Chris does. The content is definitely way more wild than some of the things that I expect. But I have sections of notes that just say, pause and wait for Chris to do Chris things.
I think
Yes.
that literally is defined as improv. That's literally what that is.
Yep.
Yes, but the fact that I get the points during my story right, where you decide to do Chris things, means that it's not that I've called it. There's a very subtle difference there.
Does that mean you have sections in there that tells you to wait for me to be a murder hobo?
No.
No. I don't need to wait for you to be a murder hobo.
True.
You're always a murder hobo.
You're not wrong.
No, I legitimately do have some notes throughout the campaign that just say, let Chris do deep things. It's going to happen. Let this pause be the place for it to happen.
Shall we move to chapter 1?
I don't think
I
got
think
anything
I've
more.
toned it down a good bit though. After hamstringing 36 people.
I mean, you are correct. You did. I mean, I think your 36 hamstrings, leaving them behind to die in a nuclear blast, is kind of your peak so far.
Yeah,
Peak murder hobo.
The alignment change.
Still kind of sad I didn't make a deep nuke.
I'm thankful you didn't make a deep nuke.
You have one more chance.
No, it's pretty much past the point of actually being a thing. I'll put it this way: my get in character song for the coming sessions is going to be "Sound of Silence" by Disturbed.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Sound of Silence or Hello Darkness, My Old Friend? at that point.
Hello,
I
deepness,
think
my old
that-
friend.
Hello,
I think-
deepness.
I think that proves every ounce of the point I was making.
So the real question is it the original, who wrote the original version of that? Simon and Garfunkel?
Yep.
Is it
Yep.
Simon and Garfunkel or is it one of the new covers?
It's Simon and Garfunkel.
Because I think Simon and Garfunkel is more Cali appropriate.
I'm just saying, if it's Callie we're talking about, it's probably Hello, deepness, my old friend. I've come to make Jet hurl again.
Oh God,
He's not wrong.
I know he's not wrong.
Alright. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about the war, about the start of the campaign?
So one general question, I suppose, is apparently they went from swords and bows to bolt casters and cannons back to swords and bows, by and large.
Yes. The creation of Techmaturgy allowed them to do fun and interesting things with swords and bows, not unlike Ruby's combi weapons. You know, why have a bazooka when you can just have a sniper reaper? Like, it's just far more.
or a grenade launcher warhammer,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
which
just
is
far
absolutely fun.
Yeah, it's far more economical to just have, you know, one.
Hello,
one
what have
weapon
we
that
here?
Nate, give this sub to my bot.
that has ranged and melee
Thank you for the gift
capabilities
sub.
all in one,
Yeah.
instead of
It's interesting though because only Donar has made use of that really.
yes.
Yep.
Callie tried to make one and then died before she could use it.
Yeah.
And then it got crunched up. But it's an interesting detail that it feels like none of us utilized when we
And I
probably
don't-
should have.
Yeah, I don't care whether or not you do utilize it. It is there as an option. I'm not going to punish you guys for using it or not using it. That is entirely up to you. But I mean, it's been there for a while. If you guys want to go kind of figure that out here towards the end, after everything that has happened recently, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get you your weapons if you want to do that. But the option is there.
Okay.
And I will go back over the format for that if people want to do those. Not here because that's mundane math. No one's here for that. But yeah, it went from, you know, swords and bows to automatic weapons back to swords and bows simply because it was more economical to do swords and bows plus magic than it was to over-engineer cannons.
The bot sub hype indeed.
Don't you have commands that you only put up when your bot has a sub?
No,
I thought you had commands that
no,
spammed emotes.
Oh, well, I put my emotes through BTTV, so as long as you have the thing, you can use it. Rockstar, no.
Better than today. Oh my God.
Oh, you think
No,
you're
our
funny,
game
do
already
ya?
has a name, actually.
Is it the Heroes of Gort? Although we haven't
wanna go
used that one
through-
in a while.
You want to go through chapter 1 then?
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, I think there it goes.
Yeah, there's no exclamation.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Gort resurfaced in Ascension again.
Oh no.
As it should always be.
Gort is now just a staple in my campaigns.
Hello, what have we here?
Nate, give me a crystal to
should be.
Crystal. Give me a sub to Crystal.
He gifted Crystal to Crystal. That's talent right there.
Yeah, right. This man has talent. Okay. On to chapter 1. Gord is your pet. Oh, geez.
All I will say is that you may want to notify your next of kin.
Right.
Good
The
luck with
entire
that.
party seems to think that Gort is this benevolent little tiny spider.
Oh, those poor
They
fools.
will learn.
Entirely wrong.
They will learn.
They just aren't correct.
They are also all willing to die for Gort.
Oh, that'll end up real
Wow.
well.
That's gonna go terribly.
They also mostly are willing to die for Upsy, their lifting friend. The sentient elevator.
What?
Well, I mean, how else are you going to get between levels of the tower?
Sentient elevator.
Yeah, I decided that instead of just being like, you guys shouldn't use the elevator, I would, make the elevator some horrifying body horror shit.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Chapter 1. Donna
Yeah.
rolled a 1. That's probably about right.
Yeah, it is about right.
Dunner didn't roll that many ones in chapter 1.
No, it was like chapter 3 when I started getting all the ones.
Yeah, no, it was about chapter 3 when everything went to shit.
I mean, none of
You
us
mean
could
when he
roll.
rolled so many 1s that you gave him DM advantage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was that time where none of us could roll above a 10.
There was
Or whatever.
the entire boss fight where none of you could hit the boss
Yep.
because the highest roll of the table, including me, was like a 14.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, this fight's only supposed to take like 5 minutes. 2 hours
Yeah.
later.
2 hours later. Yeah, exactly. All right. Chapter 1. This story began in Tavali, a tiny hamlet in southeastern Alaria. The village is all but insignificant at this time, as a 30-year war has ravaged the lands and few travel anymore. Our party-to-be, Donar and Aerosia, stand among a crowd, listening to the tale of a cloaked figure. The story tells of war and the history of the lands that led to it. In the last 30 years, much has been lost, lives being only one part of that list, and the cloaked figure ended his speech with the request for volunteers to stand against Elisef, the god king of Aishin, who started all this. As if to punctuate the speech, Elisef's forces attacked the village. The cloaked figure and a strange man defended the town with the help of the players. Enter Donar, the Dragonborn, Techmaturge, Aerosia, the Tiefling. Tiefling. Yeah, that's a word. Tiefling.
The Tiefling.
Cleric, Paladin, Dupe, Garish, the long-toothed shifter, and Shock, a smaller shifter. The players are convinced to stay and defend the village, and it is revealed that Garish and Shock are members of the Resistance. The party is tasked with fetching a discreet delivery made to a nearby cave system. When they arrive, they discover a young Neko girl who has been living in the cave for some time, and after nearly killing them, introduces herself and joins them. Enter Lillian, the Neko, rogue fighter.
She only tried to kill one of us.
Yeah, she only tried to kill me.
Yeah.
Look, I was trying to make this a short story instead of
I know.
If you wanted to be grammatically correct, you should have said almost killed Donar 3 times.
Yeah, right. Why did she try to kill
she tried to
Donar?
kill Donar because Donar wouldn't walk away.
Yep.
Lillian was hanging upside down in cobwebs, fully enraged, and Donar just kept standing there.
If I remember correctly, she was enraged because Callie was, at that point in her characterization, a massive pervert.
I
Correct.
mean, this was also the point in the campaign where we still had the giant kinky die.
This was the
This
point
is
that we made the kinky die.
this is the session where you made the kinky die.
Yeah.
If I
That-
recall
that-
correctly, you
that
were
was a
staring
thing.
at Lillian's underpants or something.
Yep.
It just triggered the hell out of her.
Absolutely what happened. Also in session 1, Callie had a taste for homebrewed mead, which was a fun time. Or session 2, maybe, I don't know.
Probably like the first 5 sessions.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyways, returning the package and having cleared out the caves of some nasties, Garish introduces the party to the latest in techmaturgy, a tech suit, high-tech magical armor. The Resistance pair also revealed that Garish was one of only 2 survivors of the Fendrin Ranch incident a year prior, the other having disappeared entirely. The party spends the night in town, and in the morning, news of an attack on Ruska, the capital of Alaria, by the high-tech mage Melfior, aka Dr. Malpractice, sets
As
the two...
deemed by the Daniels.
as deemed by the party. Sets the 24 or so members of the Resistance on a journey to rescue their leader. 2 days of hard travel and a swim through sewers of the city gets them past the attackers and into the burning city streets. After several encounters with the enemy and hundreds of fireballs, the party meet up with the leader of the Resistance.
Okay. Only one fire bell. The rest were spelled correctly. Thank you very
Nope.
much.
Nope,
Nope,
they were all fine.
they were all fireballs.
This is just the way things are.
Yep. Enter.
Glad we're going on 3 years into this and you won't let me live down what happened in session fucking 3.
Nope. Love you, buddy.
Hey, Vlas,
Yeah,
this is why I fuck with you.
I know. Enter Casafin Ilaria, the Razorclaw Shifter, daughter to the Governor General who started the movement before his public execution. The Resistance escapes with their leader. Of the 20-something who went in, only 8 remain, and they regroup into volley. With almost no one left, and only a few favors left to call in, the Resistance looks and feels like a lost cause. Callie offers her family services, and the party is sent to gather them, as well as the smith who built Garish's armaments, who is also in the area of Uluimbachor, Keldan. During the several weeks of travel from Alaria to Keldan, the party encounters a djinn who mentions a prophecy, among other things that are still memed about regularly. Beware the Star Child and the death of the youngest. Yeah, if you ever come into the campaign and somebody mentions Donar licking things, that's the thing that is still memed about.
Among many other memes that came out of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
Yep.
thing I'm still not quite sure about is Death of the Youngest.
Death of the
Was that
Youngest
Test?
was Tet.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in chapter 2 because that's where that is.
Yeah.
The first time we saw Cam cry.
Yeah, the first of many times that I made Cam cry in this campaign.
Upon arriving in Ulaanbaatar, Callie investigates the party to his. Wow.
You want to take one
Yeah,
more
I'm
swing?
taking another swing at that. Shut up. You sound like an old man trying to get spit at his throat.
It's not as easy as I make it sound doing all of this, is it?
No, that's what I was talking about. Upon arriving in Ulaanbaatar, Callie navigates the party to a smithy named the Garden and introduces the party to her 7 parents. Inside, a kitsune seeks a new purpose in life. Enter Ryoko, the kitsune, Phoenix Sorcerer, our resident fireball.
Was originally a shadow sorcerer, and then I mentioned one day that Phoenix sorcery was a thing, and he was just like, yeah, class change.
With the fam in tow, the party travels back east a few days toward the fishing village of Hala on the banks of the Great Lake of Gala? There's an apostrophe in there and it's throwing me off. Also, Hala.
Ain't no holla
For
back,
fuck's
girl.
sake.
Ain't no holla back,
It's
girl.
been 2.5 years.
We will never let it go. Along the way, the party finds a waystone, a gate to the deep. Bye. And Callie offers the party a chance to explore it for themselves. Garish falls out of a portal in front of them and joins in the trip. Chris is responsible for explaining this.
Hi-oh.
We'll come back to that.
Leaving the deep, and with Garish in tow, the party treks to Hala. Garish completely avoids the village and dodges questions as to why, and when the party meets with the healer, Sasha, it is suggested that Garish landed here after escaping the Fendron Ranch, the means of which can be seen on the top of the cliff beyond the Great Lake, and that they were together for a time. A day and a half north, they find the Blind Master, the Tiefling Smith. With their tasks completed, the party returns to Diwali. As they approach the village, they discovered it had been burned to the ground, and in a panic, they rushed to the cave system that Cass had declared their new base of operations. A massive hulking figure of draconic origin is trying to break through the new doors. Melfior. The party barely survives the encounter, and with his last breath, Melfior crushes the core of his tech suit, and the resulting blast of magic puts Garish in stasis. End of chapter 1. Yeah, that was a fun time.
I want to remind you guys that was a CR 17 fight that you guys did at level 4. And I wasn't counting Garish's damage.
Yeah, I remember you said that. I remember afterward that you said you weren't counting his damage.
Yeah, you guys legitimately beat that fight with nothing more than a meat shield taking the melee hits off of you.
Yep.
User joined your channel.
I'm back.
Hello.
Welcome back. Having issues with the tablet?
No, I'm back in the house.
Ah, fair enough. But yeah, that was... Going back, I would have done that fight a little bit different. I would have done it with... I would have done something more akin to Shocker. more just more abilities rather than running it just as a red dragon, fire breath. Just I don't know. That was really the first time I was running the idea of a boss battle though, and it's because that went as well as it did for you guys and as mediocre as a boss fight on my end that I really stepped up my game for Shagar though.
Shagar was fun.
Darker was fun.
Shagar is my golden standard.
Dogger is the boss fight that I did the most by existing on the field.
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't do any damage that fight.
I know.
You just fucked up his life.
Was
I'm
Shagar
sitting-
the fight where it spent the entire match ping-ponging between Cam and I?
Yep, because I kept trying to chase him and he couldn't stay still or else I would royally fuck him up.
Yeah. And it's not even like you would do a ton of damage as much as you would just end his whole career. You'd be like, here's a stun, or here's a knockback, or sit down, or, and I was just like, no. No.
Like, no, fuck this.
He went down in turn 1 to something you did, and it was just like, nope.
Did he?
Hard no.
I don't remember most of the Chogger fight because I spent most of it just like trying to catch up with him.
Which honestly fucked him up more than you can possibly understand.
I'm trying to actually remember what I did to him ever. And like I know I did something.
You opened up with a smite of
I
some
didn't-
kind.
I didn't have smite at the time.
Channel divinity maybe?
Um
I don't,
Was it
Channel?
deep related?
it wasn't deep related.
Yeah,
You
no.
had something that allowed you to just like smack him onto his ass. And you did it. And that was the end of me letting you be in melee with him.
Pretty much. I vaguely remember what that was. I don't think it was Channel Divinity, but it was something. You're right. It was a swing, like one of my first attacks in the game in melee range.
Yeah.
It might have just been a Bane. Like he had disadvantage on stuff. I'm trying to remember because I never used it again.
But that is chapter 2. We'll get to that next week.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, any questions on chapter 1?
So the other day you said that you've been setting up a joke since chapter 4 or episode 4?
I have been setting up for the end of this campaign since session 4.
Oh, okay.
And there was a joke I made in session 3, a throwaway joke that I don't remember off the top of my head. I just know I made it. That has turned into inspiration for the last chapter.
All right.
I don't
So-
remember the wording of the joke. I just remember the context.
I was hoping that the joke would be mentioned somewhere in here, like as a written down thing, so I could try and piece it together. But I don't. If it was an offhanded joke and even you don't remember it, I'm not.
Yeah. It's not super important, and it's not even super important in your story. It's background stuff. And I mean, you guys don't go out of your way to hunt down background stuff on my characters all that much, so I'm not gonna force you guys to do that. But there's it's really just one of those things like Garish has stuff going on in his life here in the last couple of chapters that are related directly to that throwaway comment.
Okay. But other than that, I guess, does anyone else have any questions that are not deep journey related? Because I think that falls to me after that.
Nope.
I do want to
Nope.
mention that in session 5 was when we finally got to Cass and started the escape, and that was when for the very first time I mentioned the moons, Sylvanti, Lilane, and Tet. And that's not super important for this week. We'll get to that next week in chapter 2. But Tet was a very, very major character for chapter 2. Otherwise, yeah, go for it, Chris.
Where do you want me to start with this? I didn't prepare homework, but I remember the vague journey.
Narok.
I don't know that we need to go through the journey. Just give us a synopsis of the deep.
All right, so y'all ventured into the deep, which is, I've used the terminology is magic cancer, and that is more, it is cancer on the idea of magic. Anytime a spell is overthought or mistakenly cast, there is a level of random catastrophe to it. The intended effect as well as the catastrophe both kind of coagulate into the concept of the deep. So you will see a lot of people there who have disfigurements or whatever. Callie herself is somewhat tied to it, both from birth and actually her personality drew her to it. This relates back because it is a good example. The settlement her parents were living in at the time was Skyrim Whiterun, basically. The court magician tried to summon a demon to destroy the Jarl, the leader of the town, and failed. He put too much thought into it, yada yada. There was a massive crater where the mayoral house used to be, and in it was a dead beholder wrapped around a small tiefling child. That's Callie. She is not owed to the deep in any way. She's not actually connected in that way. She is just a result of it, which later led to her life being so weird, which led her to befriending the deep, which is both a location, a concept, and a personality. So your journey to the deep was mostly a place of these failures. There are some beings within it which have existed longer than other concepts. There were routes you can go down. You guys never met the Red Guard. You did meet the two warring factions who wanted to control the deep. One wanted to return it to a primordial chaos. One wanted to control it. Neither one was really good. Another character you met that this ties back into the story, her name was Callie, Cally. She had the court magician never tried to summon a demon. She would have been the eventual child who was born in that same location, reslotted. She was a human. She had a thing where she never cursed. She was generally not a pleasant person and was in a lot of ways a mirror of Callie. She was kind of snobby, kind of holier than thou about stuff.
Yeah,
So the
I remember Callie.
Yeah. You guys didn't stick around with her long, but there was a minor story I had with her. But that naming convention was on purpose. She was both the child who was supposed to be and who would never be. So she actually had a weird resentment of Callie the Tiefling without actually knowing who she was. The journey was just a bunch of weirdness for the most part. I had a series of like 25 encounters written up to a kind of improv prompt degree, and I would actually roll a die behind the counter to see which ones you would get. One thing that I always really tried to get you guys to do was look up or down. Because
which is a thing that I specifically wouldn't do because you explained it to me.
Yeah. And it was a thing I tried really hard. I would always describe the sky, and I would always describe the ground whenever you got somewhere, and it was very plain. But much like the rest of the deep, if you looked at it for any amount of time, you would actually see something.
I knew the deep was different the moment you dropped the line, if you attack the air, expect it to hit back.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
And that was also an encounter I had written up. You could literally attack the concept of air inside the deep and then suffocate yourselves. On the flip side, it would also mean that you didn't need to breathe because air didn't exist for you to need to breathe in.
Deep is weird shit, man.
It was.
Yeah, the deep is some philosophical bullshit.
Yeah. And a thing which should be explained here because it's relevant to the fact you've journeyed through
it's made of
is
bullshit.
That Callie being a navigator actually has implications on if you ever revisit it. It's the consciousness that makes up the being of the deep is an amalgam of navigators who have died. Their entire job is to lead the deep into directions they choose. So Callie will have shifted a little bit from her time there, but the deep will also have shifted significantly because of her time leading it for a small while. She was the most recent navigator, so she was just one of the more powerful personalities in it.
I also feel like it is possible that she's just also one of the more powerful personalities in it anyways.
That is up to the DM to decide. But that is me explaining that Callie will have some personality shifting due to her return.
Yeah. And we've discussed some of that.
Yeah.
To a minimal degree, but...
Yeah. It's not going to be anything major. It will just be her priorities might be a little different.
But yeah, the deep is the concept of failure turned into success. In whatever fucked up way it takes to hit that success. I think that's a pretty okay way of putting it.
It gives a result within the same vein as the attempt. Yeah. Yes, it is that pop-up window that says task failed successfully.
Yeah. Task failed successfully indeed.
And if you guys have any questions about the deep as a whole, about your trip through, if you want to find out things that I tried to prompt you to do and you guys just never did, now is the time to ask.
We've also played with the idea that the deep, while being relatively new and only existing for a little bit of time, can transcend time, not in and of itself, but through information.
Mhm.
And that came much later, much more recently, with the addition of Odos to the party.
Odos,
But
Churn, and Pacific Atlantic specifically.
yeah, but the idea is that the deep is, as a personality, as a place, as a construct, has only existed for a couple hundred years, but it is whispered of throughout history, and that it may or may not have birthed itself.
So it's not like a Slanesh kind of thing.
No one fucked it into existence.
Okay.
There was not an orgy.
Saren fucked it into existence.
Saren fucked it up into existence.
But
Find a
Saren
difference,
fucked
but
it into
important.
existence because there was writing and experimentation saying, duality is a thing.
Yeah.
What can I do with duality? And that answer ended up being the deep.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Saren is the first being to ever talk to the consciousness of the deep.
Yes.
Interesting.
No, seriously, Saren fucked the deep into existence, and yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yep.
Oh my.
I'd say proud Daddy Saren, but he's not proud of it. But he's also not disappointed, more terrified Daddy Saren.
Yeah, he's through Callie, he's becoming more understanding.
Does this make Saren Fulgrim in a way?
That's what I was thinking.
Not intentionally.
That's why I asked if it was a Slanesh thing.
But no, and it was a different Saren at that time. It was the Saren you guys know, but that would have been 4 lifetimes ago. Completely different person than what you know today. So it's I have not really put into writing any of that. I've not really put into writing anything regarding what Saren said to the deep or the process by which it appeared, because partially I don't want to, and partially because no one cares about the details specifically, just kind of that it happened. So I'm kind of okay with it just being vague, but I've put down a couple of very small things just to outline it so that we can have discussions like this about how Saren fucked the deep into existence. And it was definitely fear. But more than that, it was self-shame. Just self-shame and a need to keep it locked up because it was unknown and capable of way more than he bargained for. And I think that the way that he went about sealing the deep out of the physical realm is a factor in why the deep is the way it is.
God damn it! Now that I mentioned it again, I want to tell you guys what you missed. Like I had a whole sheet of stuff that you didn't do. Just as a whole, but like it's literally just like one sentence. They run into a chipmunk with a weird hat, and like I had to improv from there.
Nice.
Let's see if I can find it actually. I'm interested.
I do want to point out that yes, Garish and Sasha were a thing for a period of time. She told him to go. Not because they fell out of love, but because she saw him growing restless. He had survived the ranch, and she knew that he needed to go kill those responsible or die trying. So she more or less kicked him out, said, "You need to leave for your own sake."
Nice.
There's a lot of backstory on my characters, and I don't want to overwhelm you with any of that shit because for the most part you're not there for it. But if you guys are ever interested, this is a good time to ask about some of the shit that my characters are up to.
I mean, I don't have anything right now.
And that's fair. For the most part, they're just doing, resistance things. They're working. There's nothing special.
I like to imagine resistance things is they're making a breadboard and just putting a bunch of resistors in it. Resistance things.
I just opened up my notes. This was a time.
Oh no.
Things definitely kick up once Saren joins the resistance. A lot of things happen really fast in the background. A lot of things happen in the foreground that you guys just kind of ignored, which is fine. But yeah, chapter 2 is where it kicks up from like a 3 to a solid 8. Everything just full bore ahead on what this campaign becomes. I need to go back and look through my Shiger write-up because I feel like Ven was just not nearly as good of a fight. And I don't want to make that mistake again.
Chris, you looking for your stuff?
Oh no, I have it. Like I'm actively
okay.
reading through it, and I'm just going like, what the hell was I thinking? Oh, that's what I was thinking.
I remember reading through some of the notes that you sent me and thinking, what the hell were you thinking?
Like I can pretty safely actually send these to you guys if you want to read through them. But like, it's crazy sometimes. I had like a whole inner working backstory if you wanted to follow it, but you guys didn't, so it works out. Like, remember how the main navigation was go forward to get to a new place? I actually had things written up for go left, go back the way you came, or like turn around and go forward. I had different things written.
And what was the purpose of the other directions? Or is it just fucking with us?
So it was effectively fucking with you. If you wanted to go off the trail of go forward towards basically go forwards was the railroad. It
Yeah.
was the quickest way to get to Blue, get her package, and get out.
Yeah.
But if you ever turned off, you would come to crossroads, you would come to train stations, you would come to NPCs, or just a randomized encounter. And I had things written up almost in character. Let's see, where is it?
I have a question.
Ooh.
Okay.
When did we meet Churn?
Churn got met before the Deep. The party went somewhere without Callie. They went to like a lake, and Churn just kind of showed up.
Was it before? Was it during the Plane of Grass?
I think it was.
It might have been. That sounds about right.
Was it before Donar licked things?
No, it was right after Donar licked things. Because I remember we were setting up camp around a lake, around some body of water. Callie went off to do something, and Churn just kind of like showed up doing something weird, and the rest of the party were like, yeah, sure, we'll help you out. Oh, I think Callie went to like wash herself off in the lake, and Churn just walked up to camp, and the rest of the party didn't do anything. I remember we had expected Lillian to just attack them, but that didn't happen for some reason.
Attack what now? I've been looking.
When Churn first appeared, they just kind of like showed up at camp one night, and I actually had a whole thing written for if Lillian attacked them.
Lillian doesn't really just full-on murder hobo. There is a reason behind everything she does.
I don't doubt it, but at the time it was like session 6 or something, so there wasn't a reason given for anything. It was just like sudden new person intruding on space was expected to lead to a death or an attack.
At that point, she was pretty much reeling from the fact that she had met new people, been thrown into something she didn't understand with a whole bunch of people she didn't know, and was still kind of adjusting to things.
It basically became so what's one more new person.
Pretty much.
I am going to need to hop out here very soon.
Yeah,
it is getting late.
I was gonna end soon anyways. But I want to thank y'all for hanging out.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
Recapping this. I am going to get to work on Chapter 2 this week and get you that.
Okay.
Chapter 2 is thick.
With 26 C's.
At least 26 C's.
The party went from being complete strangers to family for Lillian in the campaign.
Yep.
I just found one of my favorite lines that I wrote for the entire Deep. Remember, the Deep is alive, and for the moment, is interested in you.
Well, seen enough hentai to know where that's going.
Yeah, right. But I want to thank y'all for hanging out. We do appreciate it. Thank you, Nate, for all the dang subs.
Yeah, thanks.
Like, what the hell, man?
He's a good guy.
Well, he is called Nate the Great for a reason.
Right.
Being a mod in this channel, shameless plug, go follow him. He's a good dude.
Does he stream?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been posting in the Jets Discord.
I will do that then.
But yeah, we'll be back with this next week with Chapter 2, as long as Jack gets it written up in time.
Big if on that. It's Chapter 2 is a thick bitch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if not,
Chapter
we'll find
1
something to do.
Chapter 1 was kind of like one of the Lord of the Rings novel. Chapter 2 is like the freaking Silmarillion.
Right.
Chapter 2 is the size of The Hobbit, with about as much content as the entire Middle Earth combined.
I don't doubt it.
Y'all did
happened.
a lot in like 3.5 months of real world time.
Yeah, we did.
So I'm just gonna drop these docs in game stuff if you want to read through them. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. For me, anyway.
Alright, I'm gonna get out.
I'll see you later. Have a good night, everyone.
See you later, everybody.
Peace.